just about anything that anyone does. So, where do we start? When you see the circular rotation, that is the recycling sign, this is where we start as an organization. What I mean here is Ecology's mission is to protect and preserve the environment for current and future generations while valuing and supporting Washington's economic success. This cycle is one that is constantly changing with and without fault. Because we're dealing with the environment mainly within ecology, we have to take ourselves outside of our bubbles and transport ourselves into how we will be an even better version of ourselves as an organization that cares for sustainability. In order for us to make any sort of change, at least one person has to want the change. What I mean by this, even though there could only be one individual that wants to see how the agency can be improved, that is all that it takes, that one person. Ecology Tier 3 Agency. Originally, as I was sifting through brackets of where to place ecology, it was in a Tier 4. Although, after much thought, I then placed them within Tier 3. Ecology's agency, although allows their employees to maintain a work-life balance as well as have a well-organized and efficient workplace, ecology really falls into the Tier 3 because when you look at global systems relevant to the business, they still have a little bit of room for improvement, but also with sustainable growth and profit via sustainability, although they do go to the legislator and they receive money from either federal or state funds, they do sometimes receive money from nonprofits. And so in the future, if we receive a little bit more money from nonprofits, then we have more of an option to go forward and do some side projects for our community and not just what the government tells us to. So the 5-level organization systems map, State of Washington Department of Ecology. We have the system, which is Washington State is an agency that protects and preserves the environment for future and current generations. But we also have within that the executive leadership team and the employees, the public, Washington Conservation Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, the Ecology Youth Corps, state legislators, judiciary members, and federal government. So the executive leadership team is basically all of the directors combined, and they make up that team, which obviously ecology knows. Then we have the Washington Conservation Commission, and this really explains what within their title they are very pro-environmental sustainability, and they actively pursue going out into nature and cleaning it up and educating the younger minds within sustainability. Next, we have principles for success. We have perform work in a professional and respectful manner, listen carefully, and communicate in a responsive and timely manner. We also have solve problems through innovative ways, build and maintain cooperative relationships, practice continuous improvement, and that is it for this one. Then we have strategic principles, which reduce and restore air, land, and water, prevent pollution, deliver efficient and effective services, and promote healthy communities and natural resources. Then we have actions, which are going to be exhibit leadership in scientific research, create problem-solving techniques, complex project management, and innovative partnerships. Then we have tools, which there's quite a few of these. We have the ones up on the screen, as well as the projects that ecology works within. We have air quality, environmental assessment, hazardous waste, toxics reduction, toxics cleanup, water quality, water resources, anything, almost you name it. In addition, other tools would be, for instance, like a carpool system, the Infants at Work program, lobbying senators and representatives, and engagement through career fairs. So with this systems map, it kind of shows where ecology is when it comes to their 5-level organization. Although this doesn't mean that ecology cannot be improved. It doesn't mean that we just have to stick within these little boxes. So moving on, for instance, I spoke about the Infants at Work program, and they actually just recently implemented the Infants at Work program, or pilot program, within the past 6 months. And this is where the parent can bring their child, who's obviously not exceeding 6 months old, to work. And when they actually bring the child to work, they have to have a primary care provider. So, for instance, someone who would look after the child while you were in a meeting, or if they had to actually take a phone call. But with this Infants at Work pilot program, it seems like that there could be some improvements. So push this out into about 1 or 2 years old for the child. Because just 6 months, Washington State is about to have maternity leave come 2020. So really the first 6 months, it's very crucial for the parental advisor to be with the child. Although even past the 6 months time frame, the parent really should, or the care provider really should be with the child. So there are things that you have to do before. For instance, you have to have an ergonomics assessment, which is basically saying that your workstation is healthy and you won't have any stressors within yourself or even the baby. And then you also have to have a work state assessment, which basically means, at first I thought it was going to be a work stage assessment, but it's actually a work state assessment. And what they mean is that they have to make sure that the state of the person's cubicle or office is actually suitable to bring a child to work. Next, we have the commuter trip reduction program. And so this one's pretty straightforward. You're lowering your carbon footprint. You're getting $40 a month back. And if you carpool, you're also meeting new people. So, for instance, you could either go biking, you could rollerblade, you could walk. But since you are lowering your footprint, Ecology can also write this off within their statistics and say that they're lowering their footprint as well, which is pretty neat. And I think that if this program was pushed a little bit more, we do have 75 van pools that occur throughout all of the state of Washington for ecology, although not that many people know about the commuter trip reduction program. Next up, we have telecommuting, which is probably one of my favorites. Excuse me. Telecommuting can really do its due diligence when it has to save ecology some money. So, for instance, when you have 1,600 employees, which is what ecology does have, then each person has a laptop. Then each laptop uses about 50 watts a day, which then if you multiply this by how many hours it is used, then this would add up to 1,200 watts a day for one person. And if you multiply 1,200 watts by 1,600 employees, you're actually using 1,920,000 watts a day, which is almost 1 million watts, or which is almost 2 million watts per day. So if you want to figure out how much money-wise this would actually cost, 10 cents per kilowatt, which is for 1,600 employees, then you would actually get to about $192. So on average, ecology is spending just $65,000 a year on only laptops. And this is when employees don't shut off their laptops, if they put it to sleep, or just have it running throughout the whole entire day. And this statistic really blew my mind, because it was just laptops. Like, how crazy is that? Ecology, we need to do better. But anyways, if excuse me, the money that we could be using if we simply told an employee to basically just shut off their laptop, it could go towards more break rooms, more incentives, bonuses, a dog daycare, or even a human daycare. So ecology could improve their profits by making more energy efficient choices, then they are definitely heading in the right direction. So this is probably one of my favorite ones as well. I've always worked in previous jobs where I've never really been engaged, or if I was, it was just something that I was really good at, and so I could brush it off and move forward. But with ecology, we definitely have some room for improvement, because sometimes people can just get in their silos, and what I mean by that is they can just stay in their cubicles and not really come out, just because they're workhorses and they have so much work to do. And definitely sometimes we do need to do that. Although, as ecology moves in the direction of saving, excuse me, there we go. As Willard states, he's turned on employees' energized by an opportunity to reduce the environmental footprint of their company, astound their managers with good ideas. So if employees are not engaged at work, then why are they there? The underlying factor is that the employee is there to earn a paycheck, although people want to work for organizations where they feel valued. If an employee feels valued and heard, they will put in more effort at work, and the company's retention rate should be in the upper range. In the book, The Big Pivot, Winston said, a Gallup study showed that companies whose workers are most engaged outperform those with the least engaged. So basically what I mean by this is, if they put their employees to work with the purpose of saving energy for the company and even producing for the company, then not only will they save the company money, but they will also achieve astounding results for the company. Next up is sustainability as the core lens. So with ecology, I received this from George Basile, lecture 1, slide 11. And this slide really resonated with me from when I was doing my grad work. And it says better results and outcomes, which is really true. If you want better results, then you'll have better outcomes. Then you have opportunity and innovation. What I understood with this is if someone gave you an opportunity and you didn't take it, then you're not being sustainable. And what I mean by that is that you're not adapting to the changes that are happening within the world. And in order to move forward, we have to grow, and you have to lead in order to succeed. And I know that may seem silly, but in order to be accomplished, then you have to not only be transparent in measuring the work that you do for sustainability, but you have to also understand that the energy that you put into ecology will make all the more results. And it's really a circular motion. If you put into it, it's going to give back to you. So how do we get there? It's a great question. So in order to move forward, ecology has to come together to create principles for sustainability that define sustainable successes in the system, which then form strategic principles. Through achieving that success, sustainability, actions that we can take us to sustainability, and tools that can help us. It starts with the voice of this department and altering it in the right direction, which is sustainability. These are some of my references that I used. And thank you.